What's up, everybody? This is the Act Man here, and today I'm gonna take a trip back to the most notorious Star Wars video game ever created. Well, it's hard to believe it's been over a year since the whole debacle, the tragedy, the disaster, the failure, the fiasco, the devastation. It's been 1 year since EA single-handedly changed the way the public perceives microtransactions and loot boxes. Since all the laws, legal talk, jargon, lawsuits, investigations into gambling, and everything. It's even harder for me to believe exactly 1 year ago is when my channel really started to blow up. Nobody cares, Act Man. You're right, they don't. And wouldn't you know, since I posted that video shitting on EA for being the worst company in America, again, I went from 70,000 subscribers to where I am now. Currently 470,000. So real quick thank you to everyone who watches, everyone who's subscribed, who leaves a like and a comment, even if you're a passerby, a hardcore fan, a subscriber, a non-subscriber, just visiting for this video, I appreciate you. You the real MVPs. It's just, the reason I bring that up is it's insane how much has changed with me and my channel, and how little has actually changed with Battlefront 2 EA 2017 Super Standard Deluxe Pre-Order Bonus Edition. Since their latest update to the game that added Geonosis, I've gotten countless requests to take a look back at this game and give my thoughts on it. Ye have asked, and ye shall receive. Quite frankly, I think there's a lot of good features to talk about. Now, also keep in mind, I haven't been paying an extreme amount of attention to every single page of patch notes, every single paragraph. I'm just kind of jumping back into the fray a year later and seeing how the game feels, how it's different from what I remember. Honestly, I forget I have this game from time to time because it was gifted digitally, so it just slips out of my mind. So I've tested out the new maps, the new vehicles, basically went into all the modes and playlists and played a bunch of games to get a feel for things. And here's what I got. Here are my thoughts on Battlefront 2 1 year later. That's right, I'm gonna steal your bit, Reykjavik.
Blow me, Act Man.
To put it simply, the game is way better than it was in terms of content and overall design than when it was first released, as we should all expect, right? But many of the problems I talked about in my review are still relevant. The crafting system in Star Cards is still a complete bitch to manage. It feels like EA and DICE wanted to have class customization that could rival other game series like Call of Duty and Battlefield, but they ended up making it as tedious as possible to unlock the cards, and even more annoying to run through the menus upgrading and equipping them. Never mind the fact that there's still not very many weapons, and I think every weapon has 3 attachments. I think it's because so much emphasis was put on the star cards that the gunplay and weapons suffer because of that. Speaking of which, it's a complete grind to unlock attachments. I mean, I've played the assault class, I'm like level 32, and I've only unlocked 1 attachment for the second gun. It's like, can we speed up the fucking process here? As I pointed out before, this system was initially made with the element of pay to win in mind. I don't care if you think it wasn't pay to win, it was. And removing the microtransactions didn't fix this system, but it does help in maintaining a bit more balance to the game, as you can't just pay your way for the best shit anymore. You've got to earn it, and by earn it, I mean grind for it. This is without a doubt still one of the grindiest multiplayer offerings in recent memory. It also seems like there aren't any crates to buy even with credits. It's like they dropped those in favor of skill points, crafting, unlocking star cards at a certain level, and being able to pick what you want to upgrade. Overall, this aspect of Battlefront 2 is vastly improved, but like I said, those major flaws still exist because of how the system was designed on a fundamental level that they cannot change. You still get shit on by people with maxed out star cards. So yeah. Naturally, I wasn't able to grind for credits to unlock Obi-Wan or Grievous. I still gotta fucking edit the videos, guys, okay? But I was able to try them out in arcade, and they feel pretty good. All their abilities, dialogue, and mannerisms are nailed to a T.
Hello there.
And I'm not gonna downplay it. I mean, they did a really good job here. My buddy also told me a rumor that I haven't bothered to look into at this point in time, but the rumor is that DICE is working on changing the lightsaber combat to be more fluid and natural, and not so, like, on rails, you know what I'm talking about, when you swing the lightsaber and your character, like, has this automatic push forward. I mean, if this is true and they end up changing the combat to that previous style seen in Battlefront 2, the original, I think it'd be a huge step in terms of control and how the game feels, you know? But it's like, this is 1 year later. 1 year of DLC, extra development, time, resources, ideas, and like, this is it? We got a new Millennium Falcon, Obi-Wan, and Grievous? I mean, what the hell took so long? Why has there only been 3 new heroes added in 1 whole year? Did development really slow down that much because of the backlash? I don't get it. I mean, is the Battlefront community upset about this? Because I sure would be if I was consistently playing this game for a year. However, they have released a roadmap for the game going into February of 2019, and it looks like there's a lot of good shit on the way. Looks like they're actually listening. They're gonna add Count Dooku, Anakin Skywalker, and what's this? A new game mode featuring capture points and capital ship takedowns? Holy shit, is this what I think it is? Is this gonna be the classic Star Wars Battlefront 2 version of space battles? A mode that was so good it somehow took my virginity? Is there gonna be ship-to-ship boarding? Infantry combat with transports and all that great classic stuff, destroying the insides of the capital ships, or from the outside, looking out for space debris, asteroids? Ooh! Or is this gonna be a generic, linear, watered-down version of what could possibly be the greatest mode a Star Wars video game has ever had? I'll let you decide and speculate on that. I have heard that this is going to be like the classic Conquest mode from the original Battlefront games, and of course from the Battlefront series as well. You know, the type with command posts and non-linear design where you can run wherever and whenever you want. I always like this type of map design because it gives freedom to all players in how they approach the situation. The entire map becomes completely open from the start, as opposed to one that progressively opens up to new areas while closing off the others. I hope they're able to do this and do it right. Also, it's important to note that, as they say, more content and features are still to be confirmed, and that things could change at any moment, so I guess don't get your hopes up. Preferably, everything they list in their roadmap will come out on time, if not sooner than expected. No word on that Crash Speeder DLC, though. That's right, your boy hasn't forgotten about the droidicas. Now, there has also been a ton of new cosmetics and outfits added to the game, all of which look pretty great. You know, the Clone Wars outfits represent the different factions of clones in the TV series and the movies, which I find a great detail. And while they all look fantastic, I ain't gonna have the credits to buy any of these. A matter of fact, this is what bugs the shit out of me. Even if you buy an outfit for, say, the Assault class, guess what? That outfit doesn't carry over to the other classes. That's right, you'd literally have to buy the same outfit 4 times in order to use it on the Assault, the Heavy, the Specialist, and the Officer. That to me is really fucking stupid. It's kind of like how Call of Duty has multiple emotes and cosmetics, but you have to unlock each one individually for each specialist. It's the same content, you're just unlocking it multiple times. What's the point? It just pads out this shit even more, and I hate it. You know, I actually decided to make this video because I saw a tweet that said something along the lines of, Battlefront 2 EA is now better than the original 2005 version. Changed my mind. And this got me thinking. If you're part of a massive studio, under a giant publisher, and you're creating a AAA video game with a much greater budget, resources, maybe you got about 100 more people or however many more working on it than Battlefront 2 had back in 2005, if you have every possible developmental advantage over a game from 2005, and you still need an extra 1.5 years of development to keep up with the original and what that game offered, then how good can this game really be? I understand graphics, performance, engine, assets, art style, mechanics, and every facet of the game doesn't just come overnight, and it's much more complex and harder to create nowadays. But even so, Battlefront 2 back in the day was pushing the limits of its available technology. Both are AAA games, one offered more than the other. One came out 13 years ago, the other 1 year ago. Add on to this that Battlefront 2, the original, didn't have a post-launch DLC plan at all. It shipped like that, okay? I think people just lower their standards so much that they forget what companies were capable of in the past. Maybe times have just changed. Anyways, as far as gameplay goes, it's still got that casual, dumb fun appeal. It's not super serious or ultra try-hard, and sometimes I like it when a game is just approachable like that, simple to grasp. I can enjoy this game in bursts. It's not my go-to multiplayer offering, but if I've got some buddies who just want to chill, then there we go. I don't mind playing it. One thing I started to notice, and maybe it's because my settings were screwed up, but the aiming felt like dog shit. Perhaps I had the dead zone percentages on, I changed those, but I often felt like my aim would just slip and slide all over the place. In a shooter, you really can't have that shit. It makes it extremely aggravating and difficult to shoot people. Of course, this problem isn't present in space battles. Speaking of those, they're my favorite part of Battlefront 2 EA. The flight mechanics are always a trip to get used to after taking a break, but honestly, it's so much fun when you get the hang of it. This is some of the best space combat I've seen in a video game, just to reiterate. I guess I don't play too many space battle games, but hey, there's some praise. I might have talked about map design in my original review, but let me recap my thoughts and why I don't find these maps all that interesting, from a gameplay perspective. Obviously, the visuals are just incredible, no doubt about that. And while it's not Black Ops 4 and COD World War II levels of repetitive, boring, bland 3-lane maps, it's still not nearly as good as the original Battlefront games, and I think I figured out why. It's because Galactic Assault being the main mode, the replacement for Conquest, only allows for a linear style of gameplay. Think of Conquest in the original Battlefront and Battlefield games. As I said before, you can go to any fucking point you want at any time. There's vehicles just on the map, you hop in them, bada bing bada boom. There are no artificial restrictions in the map design. So it's like, I guess I just prefer freedom to restriction in this regard. That being said, Geonosis is pretty goddamn cool, and it was a trip to go back there. And one thing I can appreciate is how faithful they are to the locations, visuals, and dialogue of the movies. It feels like Star Wars, and I can't understate that enough. It feels like Star Wars. I am immersed. Every map, every location, every character. You know, even if they don't have the original voice actors, which I haven't looked up, if they do or don't, they sound phenomenal. So the immersion is there in full force. And I wish I had given this more props in my original review. There's a vehicle you can use on the map Kraid, if you're the Rebels, or what is it? The Resistance? The same thing? But it's those dinky, busted-ass air speeders. I absolutely love these things. They're cheap, fun to use, and they're just a piece of shit. I love it when a game is able to throw things into the sandbox, and they're not overpowered or super gimmicky. They're just pure fun to use because of how unique they are. And this is one of those vehicles. This is one of those elements. It's like this vehicle you're using is a piece of junk. It's barely able to function. And the visual effects, like all that red salt, snow, or whatever, flying off the tail end, these effects are just like they were in The Last Jedi. Faithfulness. Now, I didn't particularly like that movie, but this scene and these visuals were great. It's exciting to fight here, and they recaptured that same intensity. Problem is, like I talked about with the map design and objective design on Kraid, oftentimes you get stuck in a freaking stalemate at the second to last point, and the game can go on for like an extra 20 minutes as everyone's fighting in the same location for a single point. I think they need to add an overtime clock so the tension is raised for, say, 4 minutes maximum, and so it doesn't go on so long you just wish the game would end. Because at that point, the enjoyment is being sapped out of you. Now, they've also added the mode Ewok Hunt, which is pretty cool and a nice throwback to the Hunt mode from Battlefront 2. The lighting in this map is freaking awesome, and the gameplay is pretty fun too. It plays like a match of Infection from the Halo series. However, there's one crippling flaw with this mode. There's only one round per game. So what can end up happening is you play a 5-minute game where you go 1-1, and that is pretty much the most uneventful match of a first-person shooter you could possibly have. So, I have no idea why they didn't implement more rounds into this. I mean, Battlefront 2 has certainly seen some great improvements in the last year, as it should have. EA and DICE needed to stick with this game, stick with their guns, and do the right thing. They did not abandon Battlefront 2, but instead took the opportunity to make the best out of the situation they dug themselves in. Even if they're not delivering all the content everyone wants and expects, I can respect what they're doing to a certain degree. And that's about the end of my thoughts. That's pretty much all I have to add to the discussion on this game. I hope it continues to innovate and add the things players are asking for. It's hard to go wrong when you listen to the majority of voices within your fan base. But what do you think of Battlefront 2? Have you gone back and replayed it at all? Do you have any plans to? Are you excited for any of the upcoming DLC or features? Let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comments below. Like the video if you enjoyed it, and subscribe to the Act Man for more awesome content. Alright everyone, that's all I got for today. This is the Act Man signing out. Peace!